everyone. So, welcome all of you guys for the finale episode of Thrive in a Crisis series with the founder, KICKASS founders. Today, we have three passionate founders who are going to join us and who are going to talk to you about how they have been thriving in the crisis, how they have successfully made it work in terms of their business to their personal life. And this is the epitome episode of Thrive in a Crisis series. So let me first introduce you to the three amazing ladies who are going to join us today. So we have Rumaiza Refai, founder of Urban Color Junkie. So Urban Color Junkie produce variety of locally handcrafted products to beauty and enhance your interior. So when she talks to you, you will see in her background also one of those products. And then we also have Safiya Sideek, who is an artist and also the founder of Elements. Which elements introduce you to ethically crafted artist supplies inspired by Sri Lankan culture. And we also have final panelist Amra Wazeer, founder of Penelope, who makes premium quality ragdolls, custom cushions in different shapes and sizes, and plushies for children and adults alike. So, welcome, ladies, to the KICKASS Founder Series, the final chapter for the year 2020. I'm so excited to have you guys here. So, hi.
Hi.
To start off the conversation, let me first move on to Rumaiza. So just like all the other episodes, we are going to talk to everyone about how all of your journeys have started, how it has been. So Rumaiza, would love to hear your story. Why did you start? How did you start? And how has it been so far? You are on mute, Rumaiza.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Okay, cool. So hi, I started Urban Color Junkie 3.5 years back in 2017. So all of this actually came to me after I completed my degree, right? So I did my degree in interior design, and by the time I completed, I wanted to create an identity for myself. That was like my first priority. So that's when I started freelancing when I was in my second year, and I continued freelancing even after I graduated, and I had a full-time job as well. And then along the way, I realized that I wanted to create something that was mine, something that would speak for itself. And over the weekends, when I was having my full-time job, over the weekends, I would do a lot of DIY projects. And that's when I once did this little tie-dye project. And it turned out really well. And the response was really great as well. And what was most intriguing was how the colors and the patterns that you get were most often not duplicable. So then I was like, okay, I needed to do something with it. But I also at the same time wanted to make sure that whatever I do, I was giving back to the society as well. So that's when in 2016, actually, the floods happened. And I worked with a couple of organizations, charity organizations, with a lot of flood relief work. And I also went out into the field. And that's when I realized that I wanted to work with people from low-income communities. And at the time also, going back and thinking of my final year project where I studied on women empowerment and how a lot of women from these low income communities are having their own struggles because they are like the daily wage earners, right? And I came across women who possess skills, but just didn't have that avenue to put it out there. And these are like women who have sewing machines, but they cannot go out for jobs because they have a family to look after. They have their children who goes to school. The husband goes to work, so they have to be at home, to attend to everything else. So I started looking for women like that, and I made the goal of Urban Color Junkie was to provide employment opportunities to women from low income communities. So that was basically why I started. And like, the amazing support from my family and my close friends was really amazing. And that's how I just got it off the ground in 2017.
It's lovely to hear that you wanted to start on your own and you wanted to do make something out for yourself, and you wanted to support women who wanted to do the same thing. So it's lovely journey, start off for a lovely journey. So Safiya, so what inspired you to start? How did you start? How has it been like for you?
So art has always been a passion of mine, and I used to take summer classes in Sri Lanka to better enhance my skills. I grew up in Abu Dhabi, which is like concrete jungle, and so I had this very strong connection with the ocean because it tied us, to Sri Lanka and our roots. And every time we came back home, we'd spend a lot of time down south, and with the at the beach and near the ocean. Like even in Colombo, my home is 5 minutes away from the sea, and that's where I derive my inspiration for oceanscapes and scenic views of my paintings because uh, it's like it takes me back to my childhood. There's a lot of nostalgia there. So I did my bachelor's in architecture in Dubai, and I worked in the field. I got married and I moved to Melbourne, and even there, I was in the field for a bit, but it wasn't like my passion. I was still searching for something that would give me more satisfaction. Like I love the creativity and the design part of architecture, but I didn't really like the desk job and probably the stressful part of it. So after I had my son, I was, overcome with the emotional struggles of motherhood, and I was looking for an outlet and something that would bring me self-satisfaction and keep me grounded, and also a way to pass my time. So I got back to painting, and I started painting something small every day, and I would share it, on social media and things like that. And my family and friends told me, why not start a business? Why not take it commercially and deal with it in a more professional manner? So, and I was quite nervous, but then I thought, okay, why not? So I started painting larger canvases, and I exhibited in a few places in Melbourne, and decided, okay, yeah, to that was the beginning steps for me to take it onto a more commercial platform.
Thank you, Safiya. So, Amra, I think you have a similar story for your start off as well. Where did you find inspiration as well? So, would you like to share why you started Penelope and like how you started as well?
Yeah. So my journey of starting Penelope started actually after the birth of my daughter. In 2016, I gave birth to my daughter, and then after that, I went through a serious case of, they call it postpartum depression or pregnancy blues. I never knew about that until I actually experienced it. So I was going through a rough patch during the first few months. I couldn't connect with my kid. I felt so unworthy. You sort of like started hating myself, and things like that. And at one point, I realized, like, when you go to the clinic, they give you a small checklist, emotional checklist. So when I ticked off everything, I realized, okay, this is not what who I am. This checklist is wrong. I'm not this person. So I thought I need to find a way to put all those negativity inside me into something and create something for myself. So that's when I started Penelope. It actually started a very small scale. It was not for selling purposes. It was just an outlet initially. So I started, the first thing I made was a pillow for my daughter, which is a cloud shaped pillow. And then I just uploaded it on my personal Instagram, and then friends and family started commenting, and my friends started ordering from me. So that's where it started growing as a business. And then it was always my side business because I was a teacher as well. So I was teaching at that time. and because of my baby I had to stop my work as well, so I didn't go to work for over a year, and then again I had to start working. So I think this helped me sort of overcome that stage of postpartum depression. That's how Penelope started actually. So from there it's been a very, what do you call, a journey with ups and downs. You know, some days I would feel like a really good entrepreneur, some days I would feel like a crappy entrepreneur. So you know, it's like, you know, I it was a little bit hard to deal with initially, but yeah, so that's the birth of Penelope. So that's how it came to life as an outlet, because I want to use this platform to educate other people also about postpartum depression, because that's not a subject that is that the doctors tell you when you go and visit for your monthly checkups or whatever when you're pregnant. I never knew about that until I actually experienced it. So I don't want the same thing to other mothers to go through that as well. So I tried talking about it in my posts, in certain posts in my Instagram account as well. And I think, yeah, so that's how Penelope started.
It is inspiring to see how all three of you have started these businesses, have founded these businesses to create something on your own. And it is a very a good message that we would like to communicate to the audience as well, right? So if you have if you want to do something, there is always a way to do it. And like if you are suffering from something, or if you are going through a crisis, there is always a way that you can make yourself feel better. So maybe it might be a business that you can earn money as well. So all of you guys have been involved in your business as like a part-time job as well for a while before it turned out to be a fully fledged business, right? So let's talk a bit more about how you have been supporting yourself as well as each other, and others who are benefiting all from your businesses. So Rumeza, uh, as you started off with your journey, you mentioned that you wanted to help women from low income families, right? So that is one of the main things, main focuses that you have in your business as well. Would you like to share with us how you support them and what you do with them, and how you find time and how you find space in your business model to do that?
Okay, so basically so I work with tie-dye, batik, and block print in fabrics and produce interior products, right? So as an interior designer, and my love for product design is what led me to working with interior products. So I do, from sourcing the supplies to designing the product to actually dyeing the fabrics, everything's done by myself. And even the block prints, I make the blocks. But what I outsource is the tailoring aspect, because that is not my area of expertise. And I realized, instead of giving it to someone who always has a lot of work and has a lot of business, I'd rather take that extra step to look out and search for women who are looking for jobs. So that's when I first started in 2017. I worked with a girl from Avisavella. So I worked with her for about for the first 1.5 to 2 years. And thing is, during that time, I used to mostly take orders only. And I had not really, throughout my entire first year, it was all like known sales mostly, right? So family, friends who would place orders. And I would also look at, because I have a friend, actually my best friend, she's an event planner. And she actually gave me this idea of, doing products for events, like, maybe napkins for weddings and things like that. So when it was those big orders, working with this girl from Avisavella was all right, because the stressful part sometimes would be when I have to send my dyed fabric from Colombo to Avisavella in a stranger bus, right? I drop it off at like one of these rare kades, and then it's picked up from there, it's taken, she stitches it, and she sends it back in the bus to that kade again, and then until I get the product, I'm in pins, right? So it was quite stressful. And also I actually got her contact through my old driver. So I spoke to him and I was like, in the village, are there girls who are looking for jobs and things like that? And then he's the one who brought her to me and said like this, she works at a factory, but she's been wanting to start her own thing for a long time. She even got her own machine, but she just doesn't have anyone to give her orders. So that was like the perfect avenue for me to, direct this into. And then after that, so that's how I used to do it. So the first few times she came and met me, and we got it, like we did a few samples, made sure the neatness was on point and everything was taken care of. And then after that, with time, it started getting a bit more difficult, because after about the first 2 years only, I moved into retail actually. So when I moved into retail and like selling smaller orders, like maybe 2 cushion covers or 3 cushion covers on Instagram, uh, just getting that stitch, sending it all the way to Avisavilla and getting it back really didn't make much sense, because the transport fee was there. The stress of, it was just 3 pieces, but getting it back within a shorter time span was much more difficult than when it's a wholesale order. So eventually, so when I had to move into retail, I started looking for people in Colombo. So, and also at the same time, by the time, I started looking for people in Colombo, even this girl, she got married, she settled down, and she couldn't really do much work for me because she had other family commitments. So then I was like, okay, this is the time I need to move to somebody else. I need to find someone else who could use my help, my support rather. So then I started looking for women within Colombo. I started messaging these charity organizations that would donate sewing machines. So I would send them messages, see if I could get contacts through them, word of mouth and things like that. And then finally I got this girl so she has 2 kids, and she found it difficult at the time to go for a job, because her husband would go to work and she had to drop off her children at school, pick them up, attend to their homework. Basically, she had a lot of, she had to be an housewife at the time. And, her motherhood was also quite important because her kids were really small. So I started working with her. And she was like, if you could give me orders, but she too preferred large orders, right? So she was like, if you also could give me orders, it would be really good and I could earn something and things like that. So while I was doing this, I had to keep reminding myself that I am supporting women who are struggling in their own ways again, because I didn't want to negotiate on price. So because of that, I was like, okay, as much as profit is important to run the business, it was important to uphold my principles and values behind why I started this business. So then I was like, okay, so I started working with her and things like that. But eventually, so that was actually last December when I started working with her. And then this year, the pandemic hit and it was really bad, right? And definitely daily wage earners were the ones who were hit the most. So then I was like, the first few weeks of the pandemic, I was really busy with like a lot of personal family commitments and things like that. I didn't really look into Urban Color Junkie as much. But after a few weeks, I realized, I need to touch base with her, see how things are and see how she's doing. So I just called her up and spoke to her and things like that. And she started explaining to me about how this pandemic affect her, because her kids go to school. Uh, their school is now online and they don't even own an Android phone, which they have to purchase now, and they don't really have enough money to do that. And then that's when I was like, okay, I need to do something to help them. And I came up with the COVID-19 mini mask project. So that was basically me collecting all the fabric pieces, like all the scraps I've collected over the last 3 years, because my mom would never let me throw a single piece. She would always say, like, you could use it for something. And just like that, I used all those scraps to create these masks. Like, I sat with her, we made the template for the mask, we tried a few samples and finally got it together. And that's why my mask project was a one-time thing. So because I did it basically just to support her through these hard times. And yeah, so it's just like so far I've been looking at helping one lady at a time. And then, yeah, so that's basically how it came along.
It is very, very important, right? Like, even if your operations are changing from changing on daily basis, and even if you have to change your business models, it is one thing very important is why you started what you started, upholding the values that you have been you have uh, been having since the beginning of the business, right? So it's very inspiring to see that you, while you are going through your own set of crisis, you are trying to and actually supporting women in a crisis as well. Rumaiza, thank you so much for that. And so Safiya, so as an artist who came all the way from Melbourne to settle in Sri Lanka and into an unknown territory, and you had to start off like. When it comes to an artist also, it is very important the networking, knowing the market and all of that, right? So you grew up with somewhere else and you were settling in somewhere else, and you had to come back to Sri Lanka and like start from the scratch, right? So who are the founders who has been in the same shoes, you must have faced so many challenges, and you must have overcome them as well, right? So would you like to share some of those challenges and how you overcame those?
Yeah, so after having been in Melbourne for a bit, we had to come back to Sri Lanka for a family emergency. And I was definitely, gutted when coming back, because I was just starting to build roots in terms of my career there and in terms of my journey as an artist. But then I did come here with the goal that, I'm going to make it work even in Sri Lanka, experiment as like being an artist in Sri Lanka and taking it somewhere. So when I came here, it was, yeah, definitely new territory, and it was building into an already existing community of artists. So it was about learning the environment, learning the network, and understanding where exactly my niche of art fit in, who would respond to my art, scenic landscape, paintings and things like that. But one thing that definitely motivated me was the fact that the beach and the ocean that was all around us, the environment that I was living in was literally just outside my backyard, and the fact that inspiration was just there, that was something that definitely motivated me. And coming here with the goal of starting something, I started with very little. I started painting small 6x6 wooden blocks, and I started from having few pop-ups, and eventually I did the Colombo Design Market, which was in Ahangama, and that was definitely a huge stepping stone for me, because as it was down south, there was quite a big customer base and an audience that responded to my paintings, and that was a great way of understanding my market and understanding who shares this similar feeling of nature, and also like there was this shared understanding uh, that I felt amongst like the community down south. But then of course even after building that type of client base and customer base, we were hit with the Easter attacks, and due to Easter attacks, tourism went down, and the spirit of the whole nation also went down. People weren't in the mood for anything, honestly, and it was difficult even moving through that. But at that time, I moved my art, like my inspiration moved from like the ocean itself to like things around us, that I started painting stuff that tied us all as a community and as a country. In itself, I started taking inspiration from things that tied us to as Sri Lankans, like our culture, our food, and places we enjoy. And I created a collection of postcards, and eventually I started reselling them. So I started reaching out to stockists and vendors about retailing them, in their stores and things like that. And that's also how I kind of motivated myself to get out of the hole that we fell in at that point. And
Yeah, thank you, Safiya. So, Amra, So you also started in a niche market, right? Ragdolls and plushies were not something that a founder would think of getting into, right? So would you like to share, like, I know there's a story behind why you started it and how you started it and everything. So would you like to share why you entered into this niche market and how you sort of turned your part-time job into a full-time job?
Yeah, as I said previously, I was teaching in a school and a college before, and because of COVID, I lost my job, and that's when I realized at one point, okay, I'm done with working for others. I can't be bothered, like going for a 9 to 5 or the morning jobs and coming back home. I'm done with it. So I made a decision then and there that I'm going to develop. So this Penelope was a side business all those 4 years. I just used it as to earn, like, just some sort of income. But my main income was through teaching. So then after that, I thought, no, I'm just going to turn this into my main source of income. So that's when I started sort of I took a step back and I sat down and I rethinked my whole what do you call business. And that's when I realized that there's nobody who does dark skinned ragdolls or caters to those kind of markets here. So my basic aim is to, now when you go to a shop and you want to buy dolls, all you see is these, perfect body shape, white skin, blonde hair, blue eyes, those kind of dolls. So I sort of want to deviate from that, because that's when a small child gets that doll, what she sees is a very perfect doll, which is not the case. I want them to know that it's okay to be imperfect sometimes. It's okay to have curly hair. It's okay to have afro hair. It's okay to have, certain things. It's okay to have dark skin. So I want them to feel that when they hold the doll. So it's okay. Yeah, that kind of a feeling. You don't always have to be perfect. So that's what I'm trying to achieve through this, is to tell a story to, even for the young children, that nothing is perfect. You can have different skin, all these um, things. So that's my main aim actually. So, and also I want to introduce all the rag dolls that I make. The clothes are made from old fabric scraps which are left over. So I'm reusing them. So it's not a wastage. So I'm sort of like, I go to certain tailors and probably get, like, they will have scraps of material left over which they're just gonna throw. Sometimes I take them and I use them to stitch the doll's clothes. So that's why I make sure when I tell them the same cloth won't come again. So it might be just a small piece of cloth that I use for to stitch the frock, and that then again I won't have that. So that is so I'm trying to introduce some sustainability, things like that as well over there. So what I realized is, very recently I did a hijabi ragdoll with a scarf around, and there was a good, I still haven't posted it on my Instagram yet, but the person who bought it, that was it was an amazing response. That was, I didn't expect such a good response from them. So they have already spoken to their like people, the circle around them. And what even that customer, what she told me was, try to introduce things for children even at a small age, that there's no disparity, nothing like that. So that's my main now, that's how can I say, that's my target actually, to more than, like, to bring the community closer together by doing these kind of dolls and introducing different types of skin color and hair color and all of that. So my inspiration to do all this actually started when I was in New Zealand. I went we were just walking around, we were sightseeing, and I saw this small wooden shop. Okay, so it was, we just went there to see what it was, and it says bead it. So I was just after A levels, and I went there, and then I saw, when I went inside, the whole shop, the concept of the shop was, they had walls and walls of beads in small bottles. Like, all the walls were covered with small bottles of beads. We had to choose our bead, and we had to make our own chain or necklace or whatever, and we just have to pay for the price is per bead. So so I was thinking, this is such a small and simple idea. It was so innovative. We enjoyed it so much. We were making and making and making, ended up spending dollars and dollars, because we didn't realize that, because we were so enjoying it so much. We were making so many jewelries out of all the beads. And then I at that moment it struck me, one day, that I will also do, my own thing. I will create something from a very basic simple idea for my identity. So that's I think that's where that tiny spark was left. When I left that shop, I came with that tiny spark, that one day that I will create something which will represent my identity as well. So that's how it started.
Thank you. It's lovely to hear, Amra. To enter into a new terrain, new market, new niche, like something that you will only find out for yourself. It's a journey, but it is not too late to start anytime, any point of your life, right? So thank you so much for that, Amra. So Rumaiza, so from all the stories you have told us, you have had the quiet fun during the pandemic as well, right? So would you like to share how were the challenges that you had to face during the pandemic, and like what sort of solutions you came up with?
Okay, so like I said earlier, so the first lockdown was, I didn't really look into Urban Color Junkie at the time. It was on hold at the time. But then when they announced in October of the second lockdown to come in, right, end of October, which went into early November, um, at that point, I was just like, okay, now they've announced it. I didn't get anything done during the first lockdown. I'm definitely going to do something this time, right? I was sure that I'm not going to let it go to waste, right? So I remember 2 days prior to the lockdown, I got all my supplies. It was like an entire day out. I actually even went with Safiya to like get fabrics that day. And yeah, so like I got all my supplies in hand with the plan that I'm going to work on a Christmas collection during this 10 days of lockdown, right? And I've never done a Christmas collection before. This would be the first time I'd be working on something specialized to any event or like festivity. And then I was like, so during that 10 days of the lockdown, I got my products done. It was a very productive lockdown, at least. And I got the products ready to photograph them and to get the catalog out by around mid-end November, like, right? So I got all of that done, and I got my entire set together, and then I launched my catalog end of November, right? End of November, I launched my Christmas catalog. And now I was like, it was a Monday that I launched it, Monday or Tuesday. And then I was like, yeah, I'm going to calculate the orders, analyze how many orders, and ideally how much more supplies I need to get. And that weekend, I was going to go shopping to get all my supplies. But then my neighborhood was faced with an unexpected lockdown that Friday. And the moment I heard, it was like 1:30 in the afternoon, where the police comes and announced down my road that, at 2 p.m. onwards, you're going on lockdown till further notice. And I'm like, okay, minimum 2 weeks gone. And I was like, what am I going to do now? There are few orders. I got some extra supplies from the time I got to do my sample pieces, but that's definitely not sufficient. Am I going to stop taking further orders? Am I going to give up and inform the customers that I cannot do the orders I've already taken? Or am I going to figure this out? So this is actually also when, like, the KICKASS group of ladies actually came in, like, they played a huge role here. So because at the last minute, some of my suppliers turned down on me, and I didn't know what to do. Like, I went crazy online. Like, I was searching for all new suppliers and speaking to all new people. I've never worked with delivery partners before. I've always delivered the products myself or have them pick it up from my location. So it was a lot of new things during this short period of time that I had to do. So then I got to know new delivery partners. I ended up working with 4 different delivery partners, right? From 0 to 4 there, and then new suppliers. And so I managed to get things. I realized, like, there were some days where it was really difficult, because I was like, it's really difficult to remotely get work done like, just over the phone. Like, I figured that here it's very difficult to work like that. People want you physically there. Like, when I call the shop and I'm like, I'll make the payment online, I'll send someone to pick it up, can you just keep the stuff ready? And they're like, no, you need to come check the stuff. And I'm just like, okay, I can't come, I'm under lockdown, right? So it gets frustrating, and it was really stressful. I was losing it. But then I was like, okay, I took a step back. I took that weekend off. Actually, I didn't do anything that weekend because I was too stressed out to, even think about it. Just got everything by like end of Sunday. I got a list of things I needed to get, and Monday I started contacting new people. And somehow I managed, like, also, like, again, friends and family who were out of the lockdown helped me so much by going around shopping for me, getting my stuff together, dropping it off, and, like, new suppliers and all of them. Everyone was really helpful. Like, as much as it was frustrating at the beginning, I just needed that time to step back, take a break, and then just get back in. And yeah, so I got everything together. And when I look back now, like, I'm just like, okay, I did that many orders in such a short time span, with from like almost insufficient supplies to having enough of supplies. And yeah, it was just a really good experience, and, like, a really good lesson that I learned, because there would have been a point that I might have given up, but then I didn't. I kept going at it, right? I didn't want to. So yeah, I managed to somehow get everything together.
Yes, very important to take a break, take that much needed rest if you are facing a lot of questions, if you are facing a lot of crises around you, right? Safiya, um, what sort of challenges did you have other than the pandemic? What sort of challenges did you face, the crisis you faced during your journey?
So probably, apart from the pandemic, it was also dealing with, personal life complications and, even motherhood. I wouldn't say motherhood is a crisis, but it's definitely something that adds on its own challenge. Your kid is growing and you have to really balance with it in terms of time management and kind of figuring out what exactly are you willing to sacrifice in order to keep your business running as well. Sometimes it's sacrificing sleep, and then sometimes it's sacrificing projects itself. But it was basically, just having to always remember, what exactly you started for, and what your passion is. And also, a lot of times, if I couldn't paint, because painting is quite hands-on, that was when I started thinking about my brand, and that was a way of furthering my own career. And so that was how elements also came into play, because I like, I think from a background of architecture also, we love to create stuff, in innovative designs and things like that. So during the pandemic, that was also something that really helped keep me going, because if I couldn't, if I wasn't in the right headspace to paint, I would concentrate on elements and about doing research of the market, and what exactly people responded to, what people were looking for, and also, understanding suppliers and sourcing materials and things like that. So in terms of challenges, yeah, the pandemic and lockdown, definitely. And even the lockdown, as an artist, a lot has to do with being physically there, like a lot of events, a lot of socializing. And the lockdown put an end to a lot of things. It would have been a year of a lot of activities. And that was something that really, like, affected, because I remember in October, I had about 3 events, which totally, they just gone, but it was like just knowing how to substitute with something else. So if that ended, then I just have to, be like, okay, now what can I do with my time? And I'd either, utilize the time to test and trial paints, for my art boxes, or maybe research other product ideas and designs, or just get back to painting for the sake of painting, like getting back to why I started, and things like that.
So it's always there is always something to do, right? Like even if you are facing a crisis, there's always a way to make use of that crisis to benefit your business. Um, Test and trial, branding your business, working on your business plan during this pandemic. If even if you can't go out, would be like a few things that you can do as a founder as well. And so Amra, we would like to hear, as a founder who is in a niche market, what sort of challenges did you face when you entered in, and how did you overcome those?
Okay, I think in terms of challenges, I think I can relate to both Rumaiza as well as Safiya. Uh, when it comes to sourcing as well as motherhood, that was two big challenges that I faced, because whatever that I wanted to put out, I wanted it to have like the highest quality. So it was, for example, certain materials, they were not available in Sri Lanka, so I had to find alternative materials to stitch my cushions and things like that. My main problem, even very recently during the pandemic, this whole lockdown drama, I introduced my Christmas unicorn ragdoll. And initially, so when I went to buy the yarn for the hair in that shop, they had two big bags of that color. So I was thinking, okay, it's gonna be there, nobody's gonna buy that color. So I was thinking, okay, so I'm just gonna buy two and do a sample, put it out, and then go back once I receive the orders, go back and buy them. So I bought two. I came home, I put out my sample, I introduced my product, and then I got a number of orders. And then when I went back to get the yarn is not there. So I was asking, I was hysteric. So I was asking them, where is that color? You had two big bags of that color. So they're like, they're all sold out and they don't even have it in the stocks. So I was running around from Gall Road to Peta and back to Gall Road, trying to every small shop I would enter, trying to find that particular brand yarn, because that has like a really good quality. But I couldn't find it. So then, as Rumaiza said, it was a decision for me whether I scrap that, or like should I talk to the customers and tell them, okay, this particular yarn is not there, so, or should I give them an alternative? So then I luckily found an alternative color which I used. So yeah, sourcing and stocking up, because I don't want to stock up and have money tied up in stocks without being used. So that was a big problem. That was a big obstacle for me. Now I learned from that, and now whenever I see a good color, I just buy about 10 or 15 of that and keep just in case. So and that also, sourcing materials for me was very difficult. All my unicorns are in different shades of pink, because when I go back, I can't find the same pink again. So I had to explain to the customer again, okay, the same pink is not there, there's a little bit different, very minute differences, but they might notice. And so I had to explain to them that the same material is not there, same color is not there of this, and then those were some of the obstacles. And another obstacle that I had to overcome by myself was self-doubt. I always was a person who was I always doubted myself from small days. It has been there inside me. So I always thought, am I good enough? Am I doing the right thing? Always doubtful. So I think, for me, joining this series 4 of the KICKASS program, I met so many other women who also went through, even from previous KICKASS series. I actually, so I've learned from them. I think they all, when they share their experiences, it's like, you're not alone. So they have people. So that sort of gave me the confidence to believe in myself. And also and then I took coaching as well. So that sort of boosted my confidence and gave me, okay, now this you have to somehow make it work, Amra. You have to make this your identity. You are a founder of a good brand, so make it work. So I think I have overcome that. But self-doubt was one of the biggest obstacles. I always doubted myself from a very small age, in whatever things I do. And also managing with my family. I live with my extended family. So at a given point of time, there are about 8 to 9 people at the house, so I had to manage everything. Spend time with them. I'm also a homemaker, so I had to cook, clean, do all those things. And at that same time, I had to stitch. And I have a very hyper 4-year-old who's always running around, which is again, she sometimes comes in between the sewing and tries to pull, and then I have to, like, give her some activity which she finishes in 1 or 2 minutes. So it's very difficult, sometimes. So that part, the motherhood part and family management, is something which I'm still learning. So my goal, like I have set, like my 2021 goal is trying to manage that. How do I allocate balance between family and my work? So yeah, that's how those are like some of my main obstacles.
I'm pretty sure that you're managing it so well because you have been making sales as well while managing the business at the same
Thank you.
time, right? Thank you so much for being that inspiring lady and actually not giving up on your business. Rumaiza, do you have any advices or tips for founders, as a founder whom yourself, who like just like you shared your experience, your story about how you couldn't make any sales in the first 6 months of your business when you started off. You have sort of taken different decisions. You had to make certain decisions, right? So, as a founder who has gone through that and who I'm pretty sure there are so many founders who hasn't made their first sale yet, right? So, what sort of advices or tips do you have for them?
Okay, so personally being there as to how for the first 6 to 8 months, I didn't have my first stranger sale. It was just family and friends. And then at my first two pop-ups, I didn't have any stranger sales. So I would say take a break and do some research, because that's what I did. I took a break of 3 long months. Because I was like, it's either I'm giving up after these 3 months or I'm going back in. So I took a break of 3 months, looked back, okay, and then look at your business from different perspectives. Look at different types of demographies, different types of groups of people who'd be interested in what you do, who value what you do. So I did that. I shortlisted a number of groups for my ideal target market. And also, one important thing was connecting with like-minded groups and platforms. So that's actually where Colombo Design Market came into play. So me taking the decision to go into Colombo Design Market in spite of not having sales at my previous pop-ups was it was a big decision for me. So when I went there, I realized, okay, there are a lot of people who appreciate what you do. So that's when you meet other people like you, other entrepreneurs. That's also where I met Safiya. And and then you're like, okay, so there are a lot of people out there, just like how Amra was saying that when she came into the KICKASS group, there are so many like-minded people. So connect with them, learn their stories, draw inspiration from it, and jump right back in. Just don't give up. I mean, that's basically what I would say, because I personally did that. And thank God for me, it has worked. And I know it'll work for anyone. You just need to you need to have that willpower and the determination that you want to get this going. So, and you'll figure it out. So, yeah.
Being passionate about yourself and being passionate about what you do, and again being conscious about the values, why you started, why you are doing what you're doing is very important, and like something that you need to address every now and then, and like take a step back and look at the bubble that you were in, right? So then you will understand a lot of things as like a third person from different angles. So Safiya, like, do you have any advices or tips on so as a person who had to face a lot of challenges, crises during your journey as a founder as well as an artist, right? Like in terms of coming into a new country and like finding networking with the artists and finding your target market all the way in south, and like sort of relating your experience, relating your artistic creations into that target market. How did you find the passion, the motivation? What kept you going?
So I would say don't ever be afraid to put yourself outside, out of your comfort zone. Uh, like I'm someone who is, I honestly thought I was an introvert, okay, until I put myself out of my comfort zone and started to talk to, different people and understand. It's amazing, what you can learn from other people once you put yourself out there. And it's always that first step out of the comfort zone, because they say success lies just outside your comfort zone, and it's always easy to stay within the space we know, but there's always something amazing that you can do which just lies just out there. And there are definitely days where even I myself, out of my own experience, I know that there have been days when I just don't want to do anything. I just want to lie down and really don't. But the main thing to remember is you're allowed to pause, but just don't stop. You can be moving at a slow pace, and that's completely fine. Just never stop, and always make sure you're moving towards your main goal. Never forget why you started, and your main passion. Because in the end, it's not about making money. It's not about the numbers and things like that. It goes back to why you started. You started, like for me, I initially started because this is something I love to do. Art is a passion of mine, whether it's designing artist supplies or it's painting. It's always in that field, and it is something I'm like immensely passionate about, and it's something I have to always remember. So we get really caught up with numbers and comparing ourselves to other entrepreneurs, social media and things like that. And it's just something we need to always remember, that don't compare ourselves, because everyone has a different growth and everyone has a different journey. And for myself, honestly, because currently I know that I am moving at a slow pace, because I am a mother, and I can't do probably a million things as compared to somebody else, because I have to balance the time, and that's how I've organized it for myself. But what I do for myself is I have like a vision, maybe like a 1 year vision or a 5 year vision, that what I want to achieve. So maybe someone could achieve that within few months, and maybe someone could achieve it within a year. But as long as you are working towards that goal, as long as you are ticking certain boxes and things like that, that's the best part. You just pat yourself on the back for everything that you do towards your goal, because every little thing you do towards that is definitely a positive note. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Yes, yes. It's very important to know your limits, and as long as you have, as well as you have your vision to growth, it is also important like what you can do within during the limited time you have on earth, right? And also comparing yourself to other founders with your journey, like because the circumstances might be different. Like you are like you don't put your self out there saying like I'm a mother and I'm doing this, right? Like there's a difference in growth because of the personal circumstances we have, so it is always different. So it is your own journey that you need to take on, right? Rumaiza, uh, oh, it is Amra. So, Amra, what sort of advices or tips do you have for any founder who is starting off their new journey, from your perspective?
One advice that I would say, or a tip that I could give, is always don't hesitate to ask for help, because not all of us can figure things out alone. Because me being I have a very jumbled up mind. So for me, sort of like I can't figure out what to do next. So it's always good to ask for help, maybe from a coach, maybe from somebody who knows this field, maybe from another fellow entrepreneur, your friend. Just strike up a conversation. If you see something good in them, talk to them. How did they get it? Not everybody, you don't feel intimidated. I was intimidated by certain things, but then I overcame that because I strike the conversation. I mean that, and I learned from them. So I think if you find something useful in another entrepreneur's page, like another page or whatever, just strike up a conversation, ask them, how did you do this, can you help me figure it out, you know. And with that you create a network, as well as it will help you grow. It gives you knowledge. They will talk about their experiences where they failed, and they'll help you, because everybody is helpful these days. You have to believe in that. So asking help is not a negative thing. You can, if you don't know something, go and ask another person, and I'm 100% sure they are going to help you. So that's my main advice. People are starting off, don't feel that, okay, I'm a small person in this market. I used to feel like that. I'm telling this because of my experience. I used to feel like that. But then once I started creating that network and started talking to people, started getting advice, started somebody asked somebody else to overlook what I do and guide me through that. That actually broke my barriers and helped me, as well as even during the KICKASS series as well. It was so helpful because they all the other women in that platform, they were the inputs helped me learn so many new things on how to tackle markets, how to enter, how to, you know, market yourself, you know, branding, all those things. So it's always good to ask help, never feel reluctant or this. And also the other advice or tip would be, plan yourself, take a step back, think, as the other two ladies told, think why you started it, plan yourself. You do a brain dump, you will have a lot of ideas. Do a brain dump, you know, figure out of which, what can be achieved in the short run, what can be achieved in the long run. Some of our dreams are, sometimes you might think it's bizarre, but then at the end of the day, like for me, I never thought I'll talk in a platform like this, but I'm doing it now. Okay, so you can achieve, that's one of my goals, so to talk in a platform. So I am talking right now. So you know, those kind of things. So it's, or you need to always plan, you need to always believe in yourself that you can do it, even when the times are hard, even when you think, okay, this is not going to work for me. Always believe in yourself, and you will overcome it. You just have to hang in there and never ever give up, just like they said. Never ever do that. So this is because this is your happy place. What you do makes you happy. It feeds your soul. So I think that's important to hang on to that, because if you lose that, you are losing a part of yourself. So hang in there. That's all. That's my advice.
Impressive, Amra. Thank you so much. And congratulations on ticking off one of your bucket list. And we are so glad to have you on our platform as well. So I have two generic questions for all of you guys. And the first one, let me check if we have any questions on the floor. So if anyone would like to ask any questions, please drop it in the Q&As or like on our Facebook chat. And we would be happy to answer any of the questions you have with regard to how to balance personal life and professional life, to anything that will help you out in successfully thriving in a crisis. So Rumaiza, so these questions I'm going to ask from all three of you. Yeah, so first question is, what was the kick-ass moment and the worst moment in your life as a founder? What were those two moments? Rumaiza, you can go first.
Okay, so I'm going to start off with the kick-ass moment. So my kick-ass moment was actually last year in December when I was at Colombo Design Market. And that's when when I was preparing for Colombo Design Market that weekend, I was preparing for two sales on the same weekend. So it was Saturday, one pop-up, and Sunday was the Colombo Design Market pop-up. So when I was, so I had to prepare a lot of extra stock. So what I would prepare for one, I'm basically preparing double in terms of quantity. And when I finished the first pop-up on Saturday that weekend, I hadn't sold a single product, nothing at all. So for the next day, for the next pop-up, I had double the quantity of products to be sold. And I was like, I still remember telling this, like, to my mom and like my cousins, my friends, like, if I don't sell anything tomorrow, that's it. I'm giving up. I can't do this. Like after coming this far, like if I can't sell something at pop-up, I was really upset, like truly upset. And that was because, see, that's like what, 2.5 years later. And then and then I went the next day for the Colombo Design Market pop-up. And I sold over almost like 90% of all my products. Sold out 90%. And I was like completely shocked and surprised by myself. And yeah, I mean, that is something I'll never let go of. I keep going back to that point. Like, when I'm down, I keep going back to that point, because that was like another point in my life where I was like, at this point, there's no way I can go back. I'm definitely taking this forward. Like, I really hit the lowest of the lowest. So then, so yeah, that was my kick-ass moment, because I never saw it coming and it happened. So very grateful for that. And for a worst moment was quite recently, maybe like a month and a half ago. I realized that I had really, really underpriced one of my products, and I had been selling it. And I actually sold out on half the products and then received an order for more. And when I started working on that was when I realized that my products were underpriced. It was like I was completely selling at a loss, way below cost. And I was so mad. I started beating myself up. I was so angry that day. I was just really annoyed. And that entire day was out. But the next day I was like, okay, now you need to like just stop going about it. You've made a huge mistake, but I learned a lesson from it, because I am very bad with financials. And now I am extra careful. Like each time I price something, I make sure I am not underpricing it. I make sure I get my correct costs in order, and I know the cost and the profit that I'm going to gain out of selling this product. So as much as it's a worst moment, it's also a good lesson to me, because I'm extra careful now. So yeah, I would say those two.
All this bad experience can teach you a lot.
Oh
Right?
yeah, definitely.
So how about you, Safiya?
So if I have to talk about a kick-ass moment, it would be the first workshop that I had, which happened last year, November, in Hiriketiya. And that was like a big deal for me, because it was the first workshop that I've ever had. I've never taught other people to paint. I don't think I'm like a great teacher, honestly. And I was amazed at the results that, came through, because there were 12 people attending it, and they had chosen to be there to learn to paint an ocean scene with me. And the results were amazing. They were able to follow through, and it was really great. Like the response was amazing, and because of that success, I was able to do a few more workshops, and just like gain that confidence, and also kind of that platform that I do workshops and things like that. So yeah, that was definitely a kick-ass moment. A negative moment, or worse, I can't pinpoint one, because there have been a few through this year. But I think one was recently, I was going to have my first pop-up for my Elements brand down south. And like I was prepared completely, everything was, ready, and we had gone down to Ahangama. And because I know the community down there, and I really wanted to take my products there, because I had, started up here in Colombo, but sometimes you have to physically be there selling your product for people to understand, and also, develop this love for it. And I really wanted to do that. So it was Sunday was the pop-up, and then Saturday night, the lady, hosting it messaged that, PHI has closed down the pop-up. It's not happening. It was really disappointing. I woke up actually I saw the message like early morning the next day, and it was just so like, it was, like gut-wrenching, definitely. But but at least, I made something on the weekend. Okay, it was a getaway. And I did end up speaking to the woman who was hosting it. I spoke to her about, stocking products at her hotel, and, also understanding the market there. And, but, it's, and like, I was able to create some, like, do a bit of photography with the products down south and things like that. So, okay, like sometimes certain negative moments don't really have any positive outlets, but I made something of it, so I'm okay. I guess, if I have to look at it positively, a silver lining, it's like, okay, fine, at least I was ready for it, and I know I can be ready for it again, like, yeah.
Thank you, Safiya. Yes, truly. Amra, what about you?
Um, my kick-ass moment, I would say, would be launching my Christmas unicorns this month. I was very insecure about it because I was wondering whether people would be interested because of all these pandemics and all these sudden curfews and lockdowns and all of that. But when I launched that, the response I got was amazing. Like, I never expected it. It was like, I was, every time my phone pinged, I was like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god. So like, that was a really good, like a great moment for me, because my product was shared around, and the launch was very successful. So I think that was a kick-ass moment. That was the first time I properly planned a launch and then did it, and it actually was. So other days I would just randomly put a post, but this time I planned it, and then I put it out, and it was a successful launch. So I think that would be my kick-ass moment. My negative moment, as Safiya said, there are many, but to pinpoint one would be, one thing is when I couldn't find the yarn color, I was really pissed off. So I was like running around here and there, calling every, I think the person on the shop person got really mad at me because I kept calling every 2 hours to check whether it was there. So that was one. And the other negative point would be, I recently had to turn down a big order for a charity foundation. They wanted the dolls to be done in 3 days, whereas I didn't have time to source and do it in 3 days. They were gonna gift it to the COVID infected children in the LRH and all of that. So I wanted to be a part of that cause, but it was a difficult decision for me to turn it down, because obviously I don't have, in 2 days I can't make 27 to 30 rag dolls like that. So I think that would be so now I know I've sort of building the network with her to for future charity projects or whatever. So yeah, so I think those two would be my negatives at the moment.
Thank you. It's very inspiring to see how you ladies have turned all the bad moments into good moments as well. And thank you so much for the conversation today. So, to sum it up all, we learned a lot about how three amazing founders uh, uh, survived a crisis, not just a pandemic, but also personal crisis as well. If you are to take a few things home with you, things like taking a break when you are facing a crisis. A crisis may be a pandemic or a customer, a very difficult customer. That would be an advice that you can take home with you, and then also ask for help. Ask from the fellow founders to, if you have to take a business coaching lesson, take it. And if you are facing a question, just Google it and find it out. Like, there is always an answer anywhere. Like, talk to people, talk to founders, talk to mentors, talk to whoever the family members whom you think can help and support you. Ask for help when you are facing a crisis. And also, having the right network around you will help you through a crisis. When you have, even if you have a vision to grow, it is always better to keep in mind that you also have limits as a person, and don't compare yourself with others even when you are during a crisis. And that would be the worst thing to do when you are in a crisis. And most importantly, uphold your values, why you remember why you started this and why you are doing it as well. And that will help help you a lot when you are making decisions during a crisis, to keep in mind, right? So thank you so much, ladies, and thank you so much. This is the finale chapter of KICKASS Founder Series for the year 2020. And on behalf of Hatch, I would like to congratulate all the 12 ladies who took part in our KICKASS Founder Series, as well as all the everyone, like the family, friends, and founders, entrepreneurs who took part in these sessions, who asked questions, who went through these sessions to get knowledge, experience, and shared their experience with us. Thank you so much for everyone. And a big thank you from Hatch for everyone who has been with us throughout for these past 4 weeks. So this is Sasmini signing off for KICKASS, and let the good times roll. Thank you.